So Andrew, we before we started talking about Florida, you mentioned you were going down there and that you guys were also experiencing, the midterm and short-term rentals. Talk to us about why the pivot there and how is that going? Let's go down that thread here.
So as we talk about like midterm and short-term rentals, first, so short-term rentals, everybody's familiar with, right? The big website, obviously being Airbnb, VRBO for vacations, so on and so forth. You have furnish finders, you have hotbeds for pilots. And for anybody that's listening to this, if you own a property close to O'Hare, especially 2 flat, 3 flat, 4 flat, you want to buy it, look up a website. It's called Hotpads website, or just put airline pilots, and you have air hostesses, and not today they're called whatever the right political term is for people, yeah, stewardesses or stewards, whatever that term is. You guys get my point. And pilots, they come to O'Hare for training, and so they're based out of here for 6 months at a time. So they're here for a week, gone home, come back for a week, and I did not know this, but we have a lot of pilots and air hostesses in Mastery, and they're like, hey, why aren't you guys doing that? Which is, you can literally take a 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit building and rent the bunk beds, buy the bunk bed, and these are professional people. So these are not people that are going to come and trash your place. And you can do a hot bed or a cold bed, and I'm not going to be exact accurate. People can do a little bit of research and look this up, and you can literally make $400-500. And I think hotbed is when you rent it out for the month, and you're charging $400-500 per bed. So 1 bedroom can have 4 bunk beds, because these guys are coming at their particular time. So you have the left corner bunk that's assigned to Captain Bob, and Captain Bob has it for the next 6 months, that sort of thing. And the cash flow on these is incredible with professional tenants, because they're coming here only for work. So you don't have parties, you don't have any of that kind of nonsense. I don't know if you guys have ever discussed that. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
We haven't.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, no, the first thing I think about is Seinfeld episode with the drawers with Kramer, where he rents to the Japanese business people. Like, that's the first thing I think of when you started going down the hot bed, cold bed.
Yeah, what are some things you might need to consider? Like, you have to have internet access, I'm assuming. Like, what are some of the other things that if you're only used to doing long-term tenants that you need to wrap your head around?
So, I mean, a couple of things. Like, we'll just finish this particular thing we're talking about for pilots, stewardesses, that sort of thing. So, number one, you obviously, if you're in Chicago, you got to be by O'Hare. Midway doesn't have that. This is for O'Hare we're specifically talking about. And so, because they come for training, they come for various things, and that's when they basically rent these from you. So you just need to have some sort of an access back and forth. If there's a bus, train, whatever, the better access you have, the more people that you will get. And there are a bunch of examples of that if people just go on the website, so that they can kind of track it out. Now, if we switch over to, so when we talk about short-term rentals, most of the time people think about what I like to call it as an exotic rental versus a boring rental. To me, I like to do boring short-term rentals, meaning these are rentals that are going to be in places that are the average suburbs, right, of Chicago. And these are everyday bread and butter houses. There's nothing fancy about them. You're fixing them up to a little bit nicer level, obviously fit and finish, of closer to a flip fit and finish, and you are furnishing them. The furniture generally is anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000. Most of it's coming from Amazon and website type of stuff. So nothing fancy furniture, but you're just putting it together with the plates, cups, whatever somebody would need to stay in the house for 4 days, 5 days a week, a month, that sort of thing, right? And in that, there's 2 categories. You have the short term, which is anything less than 30 days. If you have 30 days or more, it becomes a midterm. So a lot of the towns around Chicago don't allow short terms, but they'll allow midterms. And so the way I look at it is, for every property, so I underwrite all of these as, I want minimum of $500 to $700 net cash flow after expenses, PIPI, on all properties. That's how I look at it. So if I'm going to make $500 to $700 per property on a regular long-term for me is 2 to 3 year rental, not a year rental. So if I'm going to make that, then if I convert it to a Airbnb, then it's going to be about $2,000 a month net after all expenses, including cleaning, including management. If it's a midterm, I prefer more than short term, because I think midterm you have less people moving in and out. People are staying there 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, and they're paying. I mean, what is mind blowing is that in a suburb where the average rent, I'll give you an example, 4.2 property out in western suburbs that I could rent all day long, about $3,200 in today's market on a midterm rental on 30 days, 45 days, they're paying $5,500 a month.